At 78, Emmylou Harris finally speaks up about John Denver. For decades, she has been admired as one of the most distinctive and influential voices in American music, her voice instantly recognizable for its shimmering clarity and emotional honesty. Born on April 2, 1947, in Birmingham, Alabama, Harris would go on to become a defining figure of the country, folk, and Americana traditions, leaving behind a career that is as expansive as it is timeless. Her gift has always been more than technical skill. It is her ability to translate raw human emotion into song, crossing genre boundaries with an ease few others have achieved. In many ways, her journey mirrors the story of American music itself, rooted in tradition, shaped by struggle, and propelled by collaboration. Emmylou's early years were marked by both stability and challenge. She was raised in a military household, the daughter of a Marine Corps officer whose career took the family to different places across the United States. Her father's service included time as a prisoner of war in Korea, a harrowing chapter that instilled in the family an awareness of sacrifice and resilience. For young Emmylou, that atmosphere of perseverance and quiet strength would later echo in her music, giving it a depth that listeners instinctively recognized. At the same time, she showed early promise in academics and the arts, excelling not just in schoolwork but also in creative pursuits. That dual ability, to be disciplined yet deeply expressive, would set her apart in the years to come. Her academic path led her to the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, where she initially pursued drama. She immersed herself in the study of theater, drawn to storytelling and performance, but her heart was slowly being captured by something else. The folk revival of the 1960s was in full swing, and the voices of artists like Joan Baez, Bob Dylan, and Pete Seeger seemed to awaken something in her. Their music spoke of truth, struggle, and beauty in ways that drama alone could not capture. Harris soon found herself spending less time on scripts and more time with a guitar in hand, learning chords, melodies, and lyrics that carried the essence of the era. The seeds of a lifelong devotion to music had been planted. Yet, as with so many artists, the first steps toward a professional career were far from easy. After leaving her studies behind, Harris moved to New York City in the late 1960s, placing herself at the epicenter of the folk music revival. Greenwich Village was alive with creativity, a place where aspiring musicians crowded into smoky coffeehouses, each hoping to be heard, each chasing the fragile promise of discovery. Harris was among them, her guitar and her voice her only tools. The financial hardships of this time were immense. She worked odd jobs to make ends meet, waiting tables, doing what she could to support herself while still clinging to her music. Those early nights performing for small, distracted crowds taught her both humility and grit, lessons that would become invaluable later in her career. Her first recording project emerged during this period, an album called Gliding Bird, released in 1969. While the record hinted at her potential, it did not bring her recognition or commercial success. Instead, it stands today as a document of an artist still searching for her voice, still trying to find where her passion and the world's attention could meet. The lack of immediate success might have discouraged others, but Harris was not easily swayed. Personal challenges only added to the weight of these years. A brief marriage and the responsibilities of motherhood tested her resolve, leaving her stretched between the demands of family and the uncertainties of an unsteady career. Yet she refused to let go of the dream, and it was that perseverance that set the stage for everything that was to come. Her life and career would take a dramatic and transformative turn in the early 1970s when she met Graham Parsons, the charismatic and visionary musician who had already made his mark with the Byrds and the Flying Burrito Brothers. Parsons had a reputation for blending rock with the traditional sounds of country, pushing the boundaries of genre in a way that baffled purists but excited younger audiences. He immediately recognized something extraordinary in Harris. Her crystalline voice, capable of elevating any melody, struck him as the perfect counterpart to his own musical explorations. When he invited her to sing harmony with him, it marked the beginning of one of the most important collaborations of her life. The partnership between Emmylou Harris and Graham Parsons, though tragically brief, was profoundly influential. Together, they recorded the albums GP in 1973 and Grievous Angel in 1974, projects that are now considered cornerstones in the evolution of country rock. Harris's harmonies did more than simply complement Parsons's voice. They elevated it, transforming his songs into something transcendent. Listeners were struck by the seamless blend of their tones, a sound that felt both timeless and entirely new. Parsons was not just a collaborator. He became a mentor, guiding Harris deeper into the roots of traditional country music while also giving her the confidence to embrace her own artistic instincts. For Harris, who had struggled to find her footing in New York, the opportunity to work with him was nothing short of life-altering. Yet, just as her career seemed poised to flourish, tragedy struck. In September of 1973, Graham Parsons died of a drug overdose at the age of only 26. The loss was devastating for Harris. She had not only lost a musical partner, but someone she considered a soulmate in artistry, a person who understood her voice and her vision in a way few others could. In interviews over the years, Harris has described how deeply Parsons' passing affected her, and yet, instead of silencing her, it propelled her forward. She became determined to carry on his musical legacy, ensuring that his groundbreaking ideas about blending genres would not be forgotten. Through her performances and recordings, she kept his spirit alive, often referring to him as the person who helped her discover who she truly was as an artist. With renewed purpose, Harris signed with Reprise Records and set about building a solo career that would soon place her among the most respected musicians of her time. In 1975, she released Pieces of the Sky, an album that immediately drew attention. It was not only her breakout, but also a bold declaration of her artistic identity. The record was a mix of traditional country ballads, contemporary songs, and interpretations that revealed her uncanny ability to make any tune unmistakably her own. One of the standout tracks, If I Could Only Win Your Love, became a hit and demonstrated Harris's rare gift for balancing technical precision with deep emotion. Audiences connected with her sincerity, and critics quickly recognized her as a fresh, authentic voice in a genre that was often resistant to change. The momentum continued almost immediately with Elite Hotel later that same year. The album not only showcased Harris's growing maturity as an interpreter of songs, but also climbed the charts, proving that she was not just a niche artist, but a genuine star. By the late 1970s, she had followed with Luxury Liner in 1977 and Quarter Moon in a 10-Cent Town in 1978, each project expanding her reach and reinforcing her reputation as a trailblazer. What set Harris apart was her ability to straddle tradition and innovation. While she honored the legacy of country's greats, she also introduced new sounds and ideas, opening doors for a wider audience to appreciate the genre. In doing so, she carried Parsons' vision forward while building something that was uniquely her own. One of the hallmarks of Emmylou Harris's career has always been her willingness to surround herself with extraordinary musicians. She understood that music was not a solitary pursuit, but a collective one, enriched by collaboration. Early on, she formed the Hot Band, a group of exceptionally talented players that included a young Rodney Crowell, who would go on to become an acclaimed songwriter and artist in his own right, and Albert Lee, a guitarist known for his virtuosic style. Together, they created a sound that was both tight and adventurous, supporting Harris's soaring vocals while also pushing the boundaries of what country music could sound like. The synergy between Harris and her band elevated her live performances, turning them into unforgettable experiences for audiences across the country. As the 1980s approached, Emmylou Harris found herself not only thriving as a solo artist, but also becoming a vital collaborator in some of the most memorable projects of her generation. Her openness to working with others reflected her deep respect for the shared nature of music. She did not view collaboration as a threat to her identity, but as a way of expanding her artistry. Perhaps the most iconic of these partnerships came when she joined forces with Dolly Parton and Linda Ronstadt. Together, the three women recorded what would become known simply as Trio. Their voices, blending in lush three-part harmony, created a sound so pure and beautiful that it immediately etched itself into the history of country music. For Harris, the project was another example of her ability to elevate and be elevated by those around her, turning collaboration into a kind of musical alchemy. Beyond these celebrated trio recordings, Harris's career was marked by a constant stream of duets and collaborative projects. She worked with legends such as Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash, Neil Young, and Bob Dylan, artists whose names defined entire eras of American music. Each partnership revealed a different side of her talent. With Nelson, her voice wrapped itself around his laid-back phrasing, creating a blend that was at once delicate and powerful. With Dylan, she proved she could match his raw intensity with her own brand of quiet strength. These collaborations not only showcased her versatility but also affirmed her standing as an artist, whose presence enriched any stage or studio she entered. Yet Harris never limited herself to working only with established icons. Part of her enduring legacy lies in her generosity toward younger musicians, many of whom found encouragement and inspiration in her example. She worked with rising talents like Buddy Miller, Gillian Welch, and Ryan Adams, lending her voice to projects that bridged generations. For these younger artists, Harris was more than a collaborator. She was a mentor, someone whose artistry proved that integrity and authenticity were not only possible, but essential in a career that spanned decades. Her willingness to embrace new voices ensured that her influence would ripple outward, shaping the music of those who came after her. While her collaborations expanded her artistic horizons, Harris also continued to chart her own course as a solo performer. Albums like Blue Kentucky Girl, 1979, and Roses in the Snow, 1980, underscored her commitment to honoring the traditions of country music, even as she brought her own distinctive sensibility to the material. Later, projects such as The Ballad of Sally Rose, 1985, a semi-autobiographical concept album, revealed her ambition and willingness to take creative risks. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, she remained a formidable presence in the industry, consistently producing work that was both critically acclaimed and deeply loved by fans. Her music retained a freshness and vitality that defied the passing of trends, anchored always by her unmistakable voice and her unwavering commitment to honesty in song. Central to Harris's identity as an artist was her ability to connect her own personal experiences to broader human truths. Whether she was singing about love, loss, faith, or resilience, her interpretations resonated because they were rooted in lived experience. Listeners sensed that she was not merely performing but sharing something of herself, something real and deeply felt. This quality is perhaps why her voice has remained so compelling over the decades. In an industry often dominated by image and artifice, Harris stood apart as an artist of substance, someone who trusted the power of sincerity above all else. As Emmylou Harris's career entered its later decades, her voice did not fade but seemed to grow even more luminous with age. Unlike many artists who find themselves chasing trends or trying to recapture past glory, Harris allowed her music to evolve naturally, reflecting the wisdom and perspective she gained over time. Albums such as Wrecking Ball in 1995, produced by Daniel Lanois, marked a bold departure from her earlier, more traditional work. With its atmospheric production and hauntingly textured sound, the record introduced Harris to a new generation of listeners while reinforcing her reputation for artistic bravery. It showed that she was not afraid to take risks, to step into uncharted territory if it meant finding new ways to express the truths at the heart of her music. Her later collaborations continued this spirit of exploration. She worked with Mark Knopfler, contributing her voice to projects that blurred the line between folk, rock, and Americana. She joined forces with artists as varied as Conor Oberst, Patty Griffin, and Steve Earle, proving that her voice could adapt to any setting while still retaining its own singular character. These collaborations were not about maintaining relevance, but about pursuing genuine artistic connection. For Harris, music was never about fame alone. It was about community, about the ties that bind artists and audiences together across time and space. For Emmylou Harris, the story is far from over. Even now, she continues to perform, to collaborate, and to share her gift with the world. And for those who listen, whether to her early harmonies with Graham Parsons, her haunting interpretations on Wrecking Ball, or her reflections on John Denver, the experience remains the same, a reminder of the power of music to heal, to connect, and to endure. At 78, Emmylou Harris does not simply look back. She continues to sing forward, carrying with her the voices of those she has loved, the lessons of the past, and the promise of what music can still become.